Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar Racetrack here on Saturday. It is the 1st of November 2025. Gonna look at all of Saturday's Breeders' Cup races. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on X at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me tomorrow for a great card from Aqueduct with the Red Smith, the Turnback, the Alarm, and some really good prep races for Cigar Mile Day, which is coming up in about 5, 6 weeks' time. And also join me Monday night or Tuesday in certain parts of the world for my Melbourne Cup preview. Looks like it's going to be an excellent Melbourne Cup, so I hope you join me for that. It's Breeders' Cup Saturday. It's one of my favorite race days of the year. We have a smorgasbord of races to look at, so let's get to it right now. Starting off, we're going to look at races 4 through 12, so hang on here. Let's get to the fourth race, the first Breeders' Cup race of Saturday. It is the PNC Bank Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. It's a grade one event going for $1 million purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses entered to go the distance of ground here of 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs in the filly mare sprint. We're going to go with the number 8 horse, Hope Road. We're going to go 8-3-4-6 in the superfecta. 8-3-4-6 super. Top selection 8 horse, Hope Road. This 4-year-old for the back, Quality Road. Bob Baffert trains. Jose Ortiz gets them out. 4-1. The horse's most recent appearance came the 23rd of August, Saratoga. 7 furlongs in the grade 1 Ballerina. And this horse won quite easily, winning by 2 lengths that day. She stalked all the way around the race course. She was a little bit wide late, but when she got to the front end, she kept going a very, very good race. Came back with a nice 100 buyer shipping cross country. Coming with time between races, back to Del Mar where the horse has run very well in the past. I think she could find a trip to win. She ran a clunker in the at Churchill on the 26th of May, 6 furlongs in the winning colors. She finished third by 4 1/4 lengths that day. She didn't have the best of trips early on. She was very wide, and she was just, her wheels were spinning and not really getting a good turn of foot. It wasn't a day to win there. And then the Derby City Distaff at Churchill, 7 furlongs on the 3rd of May on the slot, finishing second by 3 lengths. Hopion, the great filly from the West, really came home clear. This horse just kind of stalked her and just couldn't keep up with the incredible horse on the day. Also off the bench, I probably think she needed the race there. Her previous race was at Santa Monica over the 7/8 in February at Santa Anita, where she finished second by 4 1/4 lengths. Again, losing the Copion. It seems to be this horse's nemesis. Finally, Copion's not running against her. She just that day really wasn't getting into it. Hasn't won in Southern California since the Biocoa here nearly a year ago to the day at this fixture. Over the mile, winning by a half a length on the front end. She really came home clear, and then she won the locally over the mile in the Torrey Pines quite impressively. Coming here, training incredibly well, Santa Anita. I think she could win. I think the 3 horse here, Veva, for Cherie DeVoe and Irad could possibly upset at 12-1. It's going to be a horse running late. I think it could be her. She's not the Veva of 2024 this year, but she's still running these decent races. Like, I thought her thoroughbred Club of America race wasn't bad at all, where she went second by half length, closing up to a really good pace that they should. And if the race was a little bit longer, she could have probably won. But she got down the race course well. Prior to that, the Pink Ribbon at Charlestown with 7 furlongs around the 2 turns. She finished second by 3 lengths. Mystical Lake again came home clear, and this horse had a bit of a trouble trip around the turn. But I've seen worse races from her. She's won in 4 outings this year. The one win came in the Chicago Stakes at Churchill, where she again saw a dream set up on the front end, flying up front. She went away with it there. She's coming back for some Breeders' Cup redemption. She ran this race last year, which finished eighth by 7 1/4 lengths, where she just didn't really show up. But I do think with some more time, with more races coming into this race this year, she's going to be sitting up for a very good run. She had a lot of races at midpoint last year where she was running incredibly good races, but I just thought you saw a very tired horse at the end of the campaign last year, which probably cost her. Coming here, training well, Churchill, 12-1. I'll use her as an upsetter. But to recount my selection for the fourth now from Del Mar, it's the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. Gonna take the number 8 horse here, Hope Road. Give kudos to the 3 horse Veva, 8-3-4-6 Super, 8-3 in the multi race. Let's get to the fifth event. Race number 5, it is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. It's a Grade 1 event going for $1 million purse, races for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a oversubscribed field of horses, which is always the case in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. 16 horses entered, only 12 could go to the Jimmy Durante turf course. The 1,000-meter journey, 5 furlongs on the turf course. The rails are down, so you need to have good position on this turf course at Del Mar. I'm going to go and you don't want to be drawn in the parking lot locally. I'm going to go with the number 7 horse here. She's quality. I'm going to go 7, 4, 8, 10 in the superfecta. 7, 4, 8, 10 super. Top selection 7 horse. She's quality. This 4-year-old filly by acclamation. Jack Davison trains. Colin Keane comes in from Ireland to ride this horse. The horse's most recent outing came the 5th of October in Longchamp. 5 furlongs in the Group 1 Prix de Alaba de Longchamp. He finished third by 3 lengths that day. And she stalked down a very tough 5 furlong course there against some quality horses there. She just couldn't get there late. Maybe the ground was a little bit too soft, but she showed potential against some very good quality Group 1 quality horses. I think coming here with very fast ground, run very well here. I think she could find that turn of foot late to get to the wire first. She ran 2 back at the Cur in the Group 1 Flying 5 Stakes, 14th of September, and finished 4th by 1/4 lengths that day. She sat back early. She made her way into the race late. It was an all-out finish. Arizona Blaze, who won that day, is running back. Has won today. But she ran her heart out that day. And then the Nunthorpe at York over the 5. She finished 10th by 4 3/4 lengths that day. A very high weight on her back, 138 pounds, which she just wasn't really running with. She just her wheels were spinning, and she weakened out of it. That was just a ginormous weight on her back. Just she's carrying 15 less pounds today, which I think is going to be a good thing for her, only carrying 123 in the spot. And then prior to that, the King George Qatar, she finished second by a neck again. The turn of foot wasn't bad at all. She's been mainly running around straightaway courses in Europe. Coming here around a bend for the first time in a bit of time, I think that's going to be something different for her. But I think she could, find the trip to win. Like I said, also, I think if you just go through her form cycles, he likes the fast ground. She's going to see it today. 20 to 1. I like her a lot in the spot. I think the forwards Kadim for Charlie Hills and Frankie Dettori could possibly upset. Frankie retiring very soon. Has a couple more rounds in South America in the next few weeks, but that's gonna be it for him. We talk about a career he's had, but talk about the career Kadim's had. An old man here, not your Gallon by Dark Angel, getting blinkers on for Charlie Hills and Frankie. Came here stateside in the Woodford last time out of Keelan over the 5.5, and the horse won by a neck. Had a very wide trip and didn't break so well, but he settled well in the back of the pack. Frankie timed the race perfectly, and he got there in nick of time. A very good run. Coming here today, he's going to have to find. He has a good poster, but he's going to have to find some way through late from the back of the pack. If he can, I think he could get away with it. He ran 2 back in Kentucky Downs, 6 furlongs in the Kentucky Downs and the Kentucky Cup Turf Sprint, where he finished third by 3.5 lengths that day. And again, he was a little bit wide on that quirky course, but he was really gaining some ground there. And then prior to that, in the very soft ground, which I don't think he liked in the Guitar Stakes at Goodwood, he finished 10th by 5 1/4 lengths. He was with him early on, but then he just got no handle of the ground. His wheels were spinning late. It wasn't his day to win. And then a Newberry in the Hackwood over the 6 off the bench, finished 6 by 6 lengths. Again, he needed the race there. If you just go through his form cycles, he's the kind of horse that needs some races as the season begins. He does his better running cycles towards the end of the season. Coming here with very fast ground, training well in the Thoroughbred Training Center in Kentucky. I'll give him a shot at 10 to 1. And also, don't throw out the 8 horse AG Bullet for John Velasquez and Richard Baltas. Another filly here. I think I have two of these, three of my trifecta are fillies here, or Mare, excuse me. This one won 2 back at the Jaipur against the boys at Saratoga, 5.5 on the Melon, quite impressively by 2 lengths with a 101 buyer. This horse came on very nicely. Came back to run in the ladies' turf sprint at Kentucky Downs, where she won by 3/4 length, again flying on the front end. She's kind of horse they tried to route in last year, where she was running okay, but just not winning. I do think her preferred trip will probably be going 6.5 furlongs down the hillside turf course at Santa Anita, which she actually won in the Monrovia a few seasons ago. But I think getting back to 5, back to this turf course where she had a very good third in this race last year, I think 4 to 1 she could get some redemption. I'll give her a shot in the multi-race wager. But to recap my selections now for the 5th race from the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar, it is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. I'm going to take the 7 horse Chiefs Quality as a top selection. Give kudos to the 4 horse Kadim and the 8 horse AG Bullet. 7, 4, 8, 10 Super. 7, 4, 8 in the multi race. Let's get to the 6th now. Sixth race from Del Mar. It is the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $2 million purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of, let's see, a field of 13 horses enter, or excuse me, 15 horses enter. The 15 horse is an AE, 14 will go to the main track. The 1,200-meter journey or 6 furlongs in the sprint, one of the OG Breeders' Cup races. I'm going to go with the one horse Copion as a top selection. I'm going to go 110.58 in the superfecta. 110.58 super. Top selection one horse Copion. There's 4-year-old for the Bay Omaha Beach. Dick Mandela trains. Mike Smith, the veteran, gets to mount. The horse's most recent appearance came on the 2nd of August at Del Mar. Mile 16th in the Grade 1 Clement Hirsch. Around 2 turns for the first time since her 3-year-old campaign. I thought she ran okay. She finished second by 1/4 length. She sat back early, was very wide. She moved a little bit late, but the winner, Seismic Beauty, which was much the best. I do think cutting back to 6 furlongs, facing the boys here today for the first time, think she's going to be in a better spot to win in this spot than in the distaff, in the distaff, or even in the Philly Mare sprint. I don't think the sprint came up very tough this year as in years past. Last few years actually hasn't been the best runnings of the sprint, but I think coming back to six off the bench, she's going to be in a very good spot to win. She ran two back in the Great Lady M at Los Alamitos, 6.5 furlongs, the 5th of July. And she finished second by 1/4 lengths, 20 cents to the dollar. She should have won. Sweet Azteca really came home clear, was the next star winner. This horse just kind of stalked her and just couldn't get there late. Maybe she just didn't have a wide trip. She could have made the race interesting late. But again, she ran okay there with a 98 buyer and then a 109 career best buyer in the Derby City staff. 7 furlongs of Churchill on the slot, but winning by 3 lengths that day, closing it from the back pack. That was a very good race. And then prior to that, the Santa Monica winning by 4 1/4 lengths. She went incredibly easily. She's had a very good campaign. It's still a head scratcher how she won the La Brea at 37-1. Not that she won the race. She on paper she looked like she had a live shot, but 37-1 at post or the post time. She should have won off at like 10-1, but she still won quite easily, making her Breeders' Cup debut. She's training incredibly well at Churchill, or excuse me, at Santa Anita. I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket. I think the 10 horse here who is Ben Tornato. There we go. For Jose D'Angelo and Irad Kid win also. Ran most recently in the Louisville Society Stakes at Thoroughbred Society Stakes at Churchill, 6 furlongs in mid-September, where the horse went by 5 1/4 lengths. First start since last year's Breeders' Cup. This horse flew on the front end. 108 and 2 for the final time with a 108 buyer. That was impressive. Coming here with some great triple-digit buyers as recently coming here second off the bench, which would be a little bit fresher horse. I think this horse had a good run. Ran last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint and finished second by a half a length behind Straight No Chaser, who was flying on the front end. But this horse didn't go down without a fight. Showed strong potential that day. And then the Gallop Bob at Parks over the 6 and winning by a neck from a tracking trip with a 101 buyer. This horse really came home clear. Since coming back from Saudi Arabia in early 2024, this horse is really just improving a lot. Came back last time out with a incredible buyer. It's 5-2. I know it's a crap price, but I think this horse is a very, very live horse here. And also give a shot at a price to 5 horse Big City Lights for Dick Mandela and Kaisuke Kimura. Won his last two, won the California Cup Sprint in January at Santino, and won the Cary Grant Local League. Those are against state bred horses, but those are very good times. Biggest question with this horse is he's coming off a very long bench, hasn't run since January. And this horse has a lot of speed to him and has the kind of running style that could set up from mid pack to win here. But the thing with him is he's hasn't run since January. 15-1, he's a wise guy horse. He's either going to run a massive race or he's going to finish off the board. I'll give him a shot in the multi-race wager. There's a pick 4 that begins with this race that connects races 6 through 9. So I'll definitely use him there. To recap my selection for the 6 now from Del Mar, it is the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Sprint. We're going to take the 1 horse Copion, give kudos to the 10 horse who is Bertonanto and the 5 horse Big City Lights, 110.58 super, 110.5 in the multi race. Let's head over to race number 7. Seventh race from Del Mar. It is the Breeders' Cup Distaff. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $2 million purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a very, wide open race, I think. A field of 13 horses entered to go 1,800 meters or a mile and an eighth on the Del Mar main track. My top selection in this year's Distaff, I'm going to go to the 12 hole with North Vader. I'm going to go 12-4-8-3 in the superfecta, 12-4-8-3 super, top selection 12 horse Darth Vader, 5-year-old Mare by Gervin, George Weaver trains, John Velazquez gets to mount. They're in the horse most recently, 23rd of August at Saratoga. Found the eighth in the Grade One personal ensign, and the horse finished second by a nose that day and sat back early. Had a very dream trip from the back of the pack. Was a little bit wide and a little bumpy that day. But he really gained some ground behind Torpedo Anna, who was just kind of yielding late, but Torpedo Anna grinded out to the wire. But this horse made the race interesting late. Not a bad race in defeat. This horse has really been improving with every single race so far this year. Coming here with time between races, training incredibly well since the last race. I think she's, seeing that very good run. Came back with 100 buyer behind Torpedo Anna last time out. Two back in the Molly Pitcher at Monmouth, the mile 16th, 19th July. She finished fourth by 3 1/4 lengths that day. And again, she stalked a very good group of horses. She just couldn't, keep up late, but she didn't go down without a fight. I thought she was grinding it out to the wire. And then the Ogden Phipps on the soft Saratoga, mile eighth in early June, winning by 4 1/4 lengths. She stalked, she got the lead, and she flew home clear. That was a very good run. Improvement off her La Trione race at Churchill, where she finished fourth by 1 1/4 lengths, where she just wasn't comfortable that day. But since the Matron, like I said, she's really improved a lot. Coming here at 5 to 1, I think she could find a trip to win. I think the four horse here, who is Skyla for Junior Alvarado and Belmont Cohen also. This horse, hasn't won since last year's Florida Liz at Churchill, where she won by a neck, riding it out from mid pack to get the job done. Since then, she's running these terrific races, just not winning. I thought her race in the Spinster finally back around 2 turns was a decent third place finish, where I thought if she just needs some more pace up front, she got it. She could have possibly won, but not a bad race in defeat. Prior to that, behind Hope Road and the Ballerina, she finished second by 2 lengths again, really, getting down the race course well. And the Honorable Mish finished third by 2 lengths again, really gaining some ground over the 6 furlongs, which is probably not her preferred trip. But I do, like I said, coming here around 2 turns for the second time of the season. If you look through her 2 turn races last year, they weren't bad at all. She might be a little faster on the buyer speed figure side, but at 15-1, I'll give her a shot on the ticket. And I also think the 8 horse here with Seismic Beauty for Bob Baffert and Juan Hernandez going also. The win in the Clement Hurst was impressive with that 110 buyer. And then the Santa Margarita, she won quite nicely by half a dozen with a 104 buyer. She's done, her last few races haven't been bad at all, but those are against Southern California fillies who are, not as strong, I don't think, as the West Coast, as the East Coast or Midwest horses. She's going to have the biggest test against these horses today, but if you go by the speed figure side, 110, that could definitely win this race by a clear mile, but it's going to be an exciting wide open distaff this year. But to recount my selections now for the 7 from Del Mar, it is the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Distaff. We're going to take the 10 horse Dorth Vader as a top selection, give kudos to the 4 Skyla and the 8 horse Seismic Beauty, 12-4-8-3 Super, 12-4-8 in the multi race to the turf now. The eighth race from Del Mar. It is the Breeders' Cup Turf. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $5 million purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 14 horses going 2,400 meters or a mile and a half on the Jimmy Durante Turf course. I'm going to take the 2 horse Goliath as a top selection. I'm going to go 2-8-1-4 in the superfecta. 2-8-1-4 super top selection. The 2 horse Goliath. This German-bred 5-year-old gelding by Adelferg here. Francois Gaffard trains this one. Miguel Barcelona gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came 7th of September at Baden-Baden in Germany, a mile and a half in Group 1. Pros van Baden. Excuse me, my German's horrible. It's just as bad as my friend. But mi español is bueno. The horse won by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and he basically stalked all around the race course. When he quickened up, he went away with it. That was a very good race. I think refreshing here off some time tune races, run very well. I think he's sitting on a very good run. Now you're wondering, why hasn't this horse run in the Arc? He's running he's based in France. He's running in these French Group 1 races. The problem is the Arc de Triomphe, if you don't know, is not open to geldings, and this horse is a gelding, so that's why. But it's just one of those rules that I think should get away with. But they ran this horse 2 back in the Group 3 pre Golan Rayon Stakes at Deauville, mile and a quarter on soft ground, 16th of August, where he finished second by head. And mile and a quarter, probably not his preferred trip, but he sat back early. He gained some ground late, bad race in defeat, and then he ran a clunker at Saint Cloud in the Grand Prix de Saint Cloud. He finished fifth by 35 lengths that day, and he just eased out of it. I wonder if he bled in that one. He just wasn't comfortable that day. It was also a very quick turnaround. He ran a long jump prior to that. It was a mile and a quarter in the Prix de la Coupe, where he won by 1 1/4 lengths again. finding that dream trip to get away with it. And then they took him earlier in or late in April in the Queen Elizabeth II Cup, where he finished ninth by 6 3/4 lengths, where he again just never was into it. But if you look at some of his races last year, he ran terrific races. Actually, won the King George at Ascot last summer. Came back to win the Prix de Conseil de Paris at Longchamp last October, and came back to run an okay sixth in last year's Japan Cup at Tokyo. Coming here, like I said, I think he likes the fast ground. He's drawn very well. I'm going to give him a shot at 8 to 1 on the ticket. I think the number 8 horse, who is Mini Hawk for Brian and Crystal Sumion, could find a piece to win. Most recently, they ran the horse in the Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp, and this filly ran a terrific race. She finished second by a head that day. She just missed a winner who just had the jump on her late, but she got down the race course well. Prior to the Yorkshire Oaks at York over the mile and a half, she won by 3 1/4 lengths. And again, sitting back early, she moved her way into the race and she took control of it. She won the Irish Oaks prior to that, won the English Oaks prior to that, won the Cheshire Oaks even easier. She's had a great campaign so far this year. She's been a very heavy favorite in all those races. She likes the mile and a half through and through. Watch out for her today, and yeah, and watch out for the old man, Rebels Romance, trying to become a three-time Breeders' Cup winner here to join Goldakova. She won this race. He won this race last year by a neck from a very wide trip, where he kind of yielded before the wire, but held on to it. And then this year, done everything right. Won the Yorkshire Oaks at York over the mile 3/4 staying. Came back to win the Hardwick. Won in Hoppegarten in Germany, and came back to win the Joe Hirsch at Aqueduct about a month ago. Refreshing here, again, he's a very good horse. He's I think in recent memories, I think one of the best Godolphin horses. Too bad he's a gelding also. He'd be great in the breeding shed. But he's a $14 million winner, in his lifetime. If he wins today, he's going to be quite up there with some of the greats in Godolphin, I think. Watch out for him at 5 to 2. But to recount my selections now for the 8th from Del Mar, it's the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Turf. Going to take the 2 horse Goliath as top selection. Give kudos to the 8 horse Mini Hawk and the 1 horse Rebels Romance. 2-8-1-4 Super. 2-8-1 in the multi race to the Classic. The ninth race, it is the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $7 million purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a group of 10 horses entered to go the distance of ground of 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter in this year's Classic. Actually, 10 horses entered. We have one very big scratch here. The 6 horse Sovereignty is withdrawn, so actually field 9 horses in this year's Classic. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Forever Young. I'm going to go 5-1-3-9 in the superfecta. 5-1-3-9 super. Top selection, the 5 horse Forever Young. This 4-year-old filly by Real Steel here. Yoshito Yahagi trains this one. Gets Sakai up in the saddle. The horse's most recent appearance came in a listed race at Funabashi in Japan, mile and 8th on the 1st of October. The horse went by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he basically was a paid workout. He stalked all around the race course, went into the turn of foot. He came home clear. Mile and 8th probably not his preferred liking. He probably wants to go a mile and a quarter. He's going to be back at it today. I think he's sitting on a very good run. Come back here to the States for his third visit. Ran 2 back at Maidan on the 5th of April, a mile and a quarter in the Group 1 Dubai World Cup, where he finished third by 2 lengths that day. And I just thought he might have been a little bit tired that day from the quick turnaround from Saudi Arabia. He just was with them early on. Hit show Mixto just had the jump on him late. Just yielded for the wire. It just wasn't his day to win. But his win in Saudi Arabia in the Saudi Cup was impressive. Over the one turn, 1,800 meters or a mile and 8th, he won by a neck. He stalked. He grinded it with a romantic war to the wire, and he got there first. A very good, strong run. And then right on the Tokyo Dashen, he won by 1 3/4 lengths. And again, from a tracking trip, he came home clear. He ran last year's Classic where he had a very good third place finish by 2 3/4 lengths, sitting back early. He was drifting in the lane, but he was, gaining some ground. I do think with the Rabbin here for Sierra Leone, contrary thinking, setting some good fractions up front, I think it benefits Sierra Leone. I think it also benefits Forever Young, who's going to really pick up some pieces late. This horse nearly upset in the Derby 2 seasons ago at Churchill, where he finished third by head. He was grinding it out with Sierra Leone and Mystic Dam. He just couldn't get there late, but he ran his heart out. Not a bad race. When he travels, he always runs these good races. Coming here back to the States at 6-1, I'm going to give him a massive shot on the ticket. I think the one horse fierceness for John Blasquez and Todd Pletcher can win also. Let's hope he doesn't run the race like he did in the first 10 feet of the Pacific Classic here, his most recent race over the mile and a quarter, where he won by 3 1/4 lengths, but coming out of the chute, he nearly took a left-hand turn, which is not ideal. But Johnny settled him well after that. He kept going on the, close to the pace, and then he came home clear. Very good run. It wasn't the world's deepest. It was a good Pacific Classic, but it wasn't a very deep race like some of the horses he's been facing on the East Coast. But finally getting hit to his winning ways again. He ran two back in the Whitney at Saratoga over the Mount Lath in early August, where he finished fifth by 5 1/4 lengths that day, where he was just flat. He had a very wide trip, and he just wasn't getting into it. Still ran 100 Myers. He hasn't run a single, a double-digit Meyer since the Derby of 24. He always runs these good races, but, he just was flat that day. Prior to the Metropolitan Handicap at Saratoga over the Wilson Mile, he finished second by 2.5 lengths, where again, he just couldn't catch the winner, Raging Torrent, but he ran his heart out. And guess what? He won in or earned track record time in the Ali Sheba at Churchill, winning by 1.5 lengths from a tracking trip. He came home clear. He ran this race last year where Sierra Leone just had the jump on him, but this horse, he grinded out to the wire. He ran a massive, massive race. He's run buyers that could definitely win here. He's training well locally. Like I said, if Johnny can get him out of the chute clearly today, I think he has a strong chance of winning. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. And I also think the Wise Guy horse, the 3 horse Nevada Beach, very lightly raced here for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith, but I do like his run in the Goodwood Stakes where he got home very, very clear at 8.5 to 1. Prior to that, in the Low South Charity, he was only facing three other rivals, but he still won by 4 1/4 lengths again very easily. There's another horse, I think as the distances get longer, he's going to get better. I'll give him a shot at 20 to 1. If he doesn't win today, he's a horse that probably will win the Malibu in a few weeks' time and then have a very good Florida campaign. But, I love his pedigree with this spine. But to recount my selections now for the ninth from Del Mar, Breeders' Cup Classic, we're going to take the 5 horse Forever Young as a top selection, give kudos to the 1 horse Fierceness and the 3 horse Nevada Beach. We're going to go 5-1-3-9 Super, 5-1-3 in the multi race. For the late pick 3 now from Del Mar. 10th race from Del Mar. It is the Breeders' Cup Mile. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $2 million purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a baker's dozen, 13 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. Gonna take the 3 horse Shallon as a top selection. 3-2-8-5 for me in the superfecta. 3-2-8-5 super. Top selection 2 horse Shallon. This 3-year-old called by Wood Bassett. Francois Gaffard trains. Miguel Barcelona gets the mount. Ran the horse most recently 7th of September at Longchamp, a mile in the Group 1 Prix de Moline de Longchamp. Went by a nose that day. He sat back early on quite commanding ground. When he moved his way into the race, he quickened up nicely. He had to be used a lot, but he beat a decent filly home Rosalind that day, or decent horse Rosalind home that day. Very strong run against older horse for the first time. Back against older horses here today. Run 2 turns for the first time, drawn well. I think he could, keep up with these horses here today. Also, fast ground you should love. He loved the fast ground in mid-August at Deauville. A mile in the Group 3 Prix de Daphnis, went by 1.5 lengths. He sat back early. He moved his way into the race and he circled the field. He went away with it. That was a very good turn of foot for him down the straightaway there. And then Chantilly in the Prix de St. Patrick over the mile there on soft ground. He finished 6 by 1 3/4 lengths and he just never quickened up. Again, soft ground really got to him. He ran prior to in the Prix in the French 2000 Guineas in the Paulines where he finished ninth by 4 3/4 lengths, where he just again was a little bit flat against his horses, but had a very nice place prior to that in the for the Fontainebleau. He's had a very good campaign. He's definitely been improving with every single race here today. Drawn well at 6-1. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. I got 2 hours notable speech for William Buick and Charlie Appleby could finally get a piece of it also in this race. Ran this race last year. We finished third by 3/4 of a length, and more than looks just got beamed into the wire. But this horse, he had a great had a great trip that day. He really quickened up nicely, but he just, the winner, more than looks just had the jump on him. Not a bad race in defeat. Came back to run in the Lockage in the spring at Newbury, where he finished fourth by 2 1/4 lengths, where he really never got going. Never really got going in the Queen Anne, and then they ran him sprinting in the July Cup, which I thought was just not the right choice for him. Came back to run a very good place in the Prix Jacques Maurice, and I thought he got a confidence builder in the Woodbine Mile back in September at Woodbine, where he came home with a 1-1 Meyer. If he could show the form like he ran as a 3-year-old, or even like the form like he showed in the Woodbine Mile, I think he could win. It's not a deep as a race as it was last year, which I think is going to be good for him. 5-2, I know it's a crap price, but he can definitely win here. Let's give him a shot on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 10th now from Del Mar, it's the Breeders' Cup Mile. We're going to take the 3-horse Shalon as top selection. Give kudos to the 2-horse Notable Speech, 3285 Super, 3-2 in the multi-race. The 11th now. The 11th race from Del Mar. It is the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. It's a Grade 1 event going for $1 million purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses taking a stroll around the main track, which is 1,600 meters around, or a mile on the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 2-horse goal orientated. I'm going to go 2683 in the superfecta. 2683 super. Top selection, the 2-horse goal orientated. This 3-year-old colt by Not This Time. Bob Baffert trains. Luis Saez gets to mount. Horse's most recent appearance came in the Pennsylvania Derby at Parks, mile and 8th on the 20th of September. And the horse finished third by 5 1/4 lengths that day. He just stalked all around the race course, but the final eighth of a mile just got to him. He yielded before the wire. Do think cutting back to a mile, first time older horses here today, or second time actually older horses, I think he's going to be in a better spot to win. It's not as tough as the Pennsylvania Derby came up this year. He ran 2 back in the Haskell at Monmouth, the mile and 8th and 19th of July, and he finished third by 3/4 length. Again, had a bit of a wide trip. He just couldn't catch journalism and Gosger, who just, outgamed it to the wire in front of him, but he got down the race course okay. And then the Preakness over the mile 3/16 of Pimlico. I thought they turned him around very quickly from the previous race. Finished fourth by 6 1/4 lengths that day, and he just, wasn't keeping up. I just do think they were asking a little bit too much that day. He won Derby weekend at Churchill over the mile, quite impressive by 3/4 length. Excuse me, over the mile 16th quite easily, and then broke his maiden early May at early April at Santino quite easily sprinting. He's definitely been on the improve. Has definitely run buyers that could definitely win here. 6-1. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think the 6-horse here, Full Serrano for John Sadler and Joe Alcoin also. Most recently in the Goodwood over the mile and 8th, he finished second by 1/2 lengths where he was flying on the front and just yielded before the wire. Another horse cutting back to really suit him well. He's a course and distance winner with a 94 buyer here in early September locally, winning by 7.5 lengths. He basically won on the front end quite easily. It was his first race back from last year's Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, which he won by 1.5 lengths again from a tracking trip. Not as tough as a race as it came up last year. Coming here second off the bench. I'm going to give him a shot 7-2 on the ticket. And also, don't throw out the 8-horse Chance of McPatrick for Jose Ortiz and Chad Brown. I think this is probably Chad's best chance for the winner this weekend. He won 2 back in the Curler around 2 turns at Santa Anita, at Saratoga quite easily. Came back to run the Allen Jerkins, where he just needed some more ground, but again, he got down the race course okay. He had a great 2-year-old campaign last year. His 3-year-old campaign has just been a bit of head scratcher. He'll run good races and then just run crap races like he ran the Bluegrass and the Tampa Derby, but cutting back to a mile should see pace to close up into. I give him a shot at 15-1, but I do think some of the California horses have the edge in this one. But to recount my selection for the 11th now from Del Mar, it's the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. We're going to take the 2-horse goal orientated, give kudos to the 6-horse Full Serrano and the 8-horse Chance McPatrick, 2683 Super, 268 in the multi race. The nightcap, race 12 now from Del Mar. 12th race from Del Mar, the nightcap. It is the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. It's a Grade 1 event going for a $2 million purse race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. We have a field of 14 horses entered to go 2,200 meters or mile 3/8 on the Del Mar Turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 14 horse. See the Fire. I'm going to go 14, 9, 13, 6 in the superfecta. That was 14, 9, 13, 6 super. Top selection, the 14 horse, See the Fire. This 4 by See the Stars. Andrew Balding trains. Ocean Murphy picks up the mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 5th of October at Longchamp, mile and a quarter in the Group 1 Prix d'Opera. Second by a neck that day, and she just kept coming late. She stalked all the way around the race course. She had a great turn of foot. If the race was mile 3/8, she would have won by open lengths, but she just missed late and a bad race in the feed. Prior to that, facing the boys over the mile 5/16 at York in the Group 1 Juddmonte International, finished fourth by 4 3/4 lengths that day. And again, ran her heart out against the boys. I thought she needed some more ground, but not a bad race in the feed. And then over the mile and a quarter in the Group 1 Nassau Stakes, she saw very heavy ground, which I don't think was, her best thing that day. She finished third by 6 1/4 lengths that day. She didn't break so well, and which with the bad start with the circumstances of the start that they also had to do with it. She just again was just a little bit flat that day. But I thought her race in the Prince of Wales at Alaska wasn't bad at all, and her Middleton Stakes was very, very nicely done. She goes up a lot with fast ground, coming here off a decent campaign. 5 to 1, I'll give her a shot in this race. I think the 9 horse here, who is Cinderella's Dream for Charlie Alpi and William Buick, could possibly find a piece also. Ran in this race last year, where she finished second by half length, gaining a lot of ground. Her campaign this year hasn't been bad at all. She won in the Falmouth at New Market over the mile back in July. Came back to run in the Sun Chariot most recently, where she finished third by 6 3/4 lengths. Where again, I thought she won more ground that day. Finally come back to a longer trip. 9 to 2, it wouldn't surprise me if she wins. And also the 13 horse, she feels pretty for Sherry DeVoe and John Velazquez. Won the EP Taylor at Church at Woodbine over the mile quarter in Presley in August. And then, her season so far, she's been very lightly raced this year. But she's run 4 races and run 4 terrific races. Winning the Modesty, came back to win the New York Stakes. Very good place in the Diana, and won the EP Taylor quite easily with a 104 buyer. Has run triple digit buyers that could definitely win here. Not an ideal post draw, but 4 to 1, I think she has ability to do wonders in this race. Now, opposed to the Breeders' Cup turf, which is mainly, dominated by European horses, the Philly Mare turf, you can have an American horse win this race, and they have a very, actually, just as good, if not better, record in this race than the European horses. So watch out for this horse at 4 to 1. But to recount my selections for the ninth cap now from the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar, the 12th race, it's the Philly Mare Sprint, the Philly Mare Turf. Going to take the 14 horse here, who sees the fire. Give kudos to the 9 horse Cinderella's Dream and the 13 horse She Feels Pretty. That was 14-9, 13-6 super. We're going to go 14-9, 13 in the multi-race to end it off. With that being said, good luck to all. Follow me on X at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me this week coming up for my Melbourne Cup preview. Good luck, everybody, and remember to subscribe.